Let me tell you who wasn't happy on Saturday night. And D-Mac, I'll start with me. Because I told you before the show. So I was away for work. We were in Youngstown. Big win over Youngstown, by the way, on the road Sunday. Saturday night, we're at the hotel bar in the Marriott in Youngstown. Locked in. I was locked into the game. And it was, when you work in this business, sometimes this gets taken away from you, where you get to be 100% emotionally invested and be a fan, like a flat-out fan. And D-Mac, Saturday night, I was locked in, and I can't describe the feeling I had at the end of that football game. And look, there's all kinds of subsets that we can get into, the game itself. But I will say this. We all know what happened. We all know the Detroit Lions won the football game. They did. I saw it. A lot like Reggie Bush winning the Heisman. I saw it. You can never take that away. They won that football game. Period. End of story. Now, it doesn't count in the standings. And D-Mac, to have that ripped away, that shook me to the core, D-Mac, as a fan that I have not been shooken to in a very, very long time. And D-Mac, I know everyone's going to talk about, and I know how you are. And this is where you have the advantage because you're an ex-professional athlete. You have that ability to where you can say, all right, we go back to work today. We move on. I will not be able to move on from this for a couple days.
Dude,
I will not.
This is like, now that sort of the smoke settled and everything like that, I believe that this is the greatest blessing. What usually happens, and let's go back to other games, right? Let's go back to the other Dallas game, the playoffs, pass interference, stuff like that, right? Arguable. You could say, well, it's your Lions fandom and it could go this way. What happened on Saturday night, being the only game in front of the whole world watching that, is we saw the Detroit Lions get screwed. So if anybody doesn't know SOL, or if they think to whatever else, this is worldwide. If I'm Dan Campbell what's your reaction going into the dressing room? How do you address your team after the game? You know how I walk in and address the team? I look around the room to everybody who's so pissed off because this is a vulnerable truth with integrity when you're talking about rules and how you supposedly done it, everything right. And if I'm Dan Campbell, I just look and go, it's the only way they can get us, boys. And I laugh. And I go, because everybody else saw it. I mentioned to you earlier, you got Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, two guys in this media world that threw away millions of dollars on a TV show because they hate each other, agreeing. Skip Bayless being the biggest cowboy slappy maybe out there, right? So we just got to be quiet. You got to let your play speak for yourself. Now you let that burn, and you know that it is Detroit versus everybody, Detroit versus the whole world to whatever else, right? There's nothing you can do about it except laugh. The beauty of it, Neil, is thank God it happened in a game, right? That the biggest thing was it might have cost you another, the number 2 seed, right? This is just going to motivate your players. And the one thing that I told you when I came in, and have we heard from Sheila at all?
No.
Because I thought this would be the perfect time for Sheila to come out and just sort of have everybody's back, but just like, this ain't, hey, you used to do this to my dad and you used to do this, but this ain't the same old Lions, right? We aren't the same old Lions. You're going to operate us with respect. And I mean, as far as I would love if she called Jerry Jones out for a death match in the middle of AT&T Stadium. I'd be there for her. But again, I digress. But the fact is, like, this would be a perfect time for her to come out and say something, because Jerry Jones comes out and says something stupid like, oh, that was the best officiated game and stuff like this.
Yeah, that was so trash.
So trash. But here's the thing, Neil, on that front, look at the NFL, right? As far as they'll never admit their mistake, but they, now they go and downgrade this Brad Allard, who is the referee that messed it up. The last thing I'm going to say on this, the thing that bothers me the most, right? I can understand if it's something where he messes up because the guy's reporting on the field and stuff like this. But Dan Campbell, and you told me that this happens in all sports and whatever. If you're going to do a trick play or something, you've told the ref exactly what's going to happen. If we have a 2-point conversion and we go to this formation, it's Decker's going to look for this. So he's already had that. So to me, It's negligence of integrity of the game.
And that's it. And
the integrity of the game is why you have a problem. So, yeah, it bothers me. But the whole thing is that I think with this regime and everything that's happened to Dan Campbell and what they preach, right? Look at every post game, right? You're resilient, man. You fight through it. I mean, you're a heck of a team. I mean, you play for each other. No better time than now. So this will galvanize them, Neil.
I don't take any comfort in that, D-Mac. I don't. And Jake Wagner, I want to address this one here. I thought, Neil, you were a never put it on the ref's mistakes you should have overcome. No, Jake. Because here's the difference. This isn't a mistake. This is incompetence at your job.
Yeah.
That's what's different about it. It's not a mistake. It's not doing your job. That's my problem with it. Because the Lions did everything right. And because of the incompetence of one person, they get penalized for it. That's the thing that hurts me. Because at this level, in this game, and look, I know how we are as a society right now. Like we beg for accountability until it's us that makes a mistake. Then we ask for forgiveness. At that level, no. That's the ultimate level in the world, in the game of football. We can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have that mistake from somebody. You can't have it. And if you do, you are not able to do that job. I'm sorry. And my problem with all this is very, very simple. In college sports, last night, Alabama football players have to go to a microphone and explain what happened. Texas football players have to go to a microphone. Kids, a freshman, a 19-year-old freshman, has to sit there and face the world. And this referee, this NFL referee, gets to hide and not have to account and not have to say, this is what happened. And then the league's not going to come out and say, hey, that's an egregious mistake. We can't have it. Sorry, we're moving on from this guy. No. We ask a 19-year-old kid to do this in sports, and a grown man gets to hide. That's my problem with it, Jake. That's my problem. It's not a ref's mistake. It's incompetence at what you do. That's the difference in this. And that's why I'm angry about it, and I will not let it go. And D-Mac, going back to what you just said, here's my problem. I agree, right? And I even said this in a tweet Saturday night. I feel better about the Detroit Lions now as a team than I did at 8:14 p.m. Saturday night. That's fine, but here's the difference. That's an 8-point swing when they play that game right now. Look at what the line will be and think about what the line would be if they played it at Ford Field. That's a touchdown. In the NFL, it's hard to overcome. It's a one-score league, right?
Right.
It's hard to overcome that. It just is. There are far, long-lasting implications to this that will never sit with me. I watched them win that game, D-Mac. I watched them win it. And because someone's incompetent at what they do, they get marked for a loss for it. And that will never sit with me, ever.
There's a difference between the human error of making a call, whether it's a holding or a pass. I mean, you can break down. You should have been a pass interference call on Amon St. Brown. Before that. That's the diligence. You're talking about integrity. Pretty much what you're saying is that if this referee was a doctor, people would have died because of his incompetence.
Exactly. And I'm not saying it's life or death. It's
that's
a football
the gravitas.
game.
If you're saying about being accountable to your job, this is accountability to your job. Like the structure of the game. It's the same thing as we talk about, not loose ball fouls, but, before the penalties before the ball snapped. The referees can't make that penalty, just like when we can't go out, illegal formation or stuff like this. It's because it's the incompetence and then the fact that you don't have to be accountable, Neil. That's what hurts. But again, like you said, how's it gonna affect Allen Park and these Detroit Lions? I feel the same way as you do. They're stronger as a team, even more so than they were going into that game.